So you want to know how to do pull-ups, but you're a beginner. Well, in today's discussion, we're going to dissect the pull-up and we're going to show you the 3 absolute essential progressions that we use here at Unity Gym to dramatically improve and increase the potential for getting pull-ups real quick. All that and more coming up right after this. We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image. Right, we're back and we're going to demonstrate some pull-ups. We're going to have a crack at going back out on the gym floor today. So we're going to be mucking around with a little bit of technology here. But before we get started, how are you feeling today, Rad?
I'm excited. I've got the lapel mic on today because we're going out on the gym floor, so I'm excited.
Mic'd up, and he's stoked because he doesn't have to demonstrate the pull-ups because Rad's got a busted up shoulder. So before we get started, one of the biggest things that we had a breakthrough with developing our pull-up strength and teaching people how to use pull-ups was that we transitioned from using assisted bands, those gym bands, to not using gym bands and focusing on the 3 core types of contraction instead, and it made a massive improvement in our tribe's ability to do pull-ups, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Even just in our own. I mean, when I was learning how to do pull-ups all those years ago, because I came from, when I did martial arts for almost 15 years, Kung Fu, and I didn't focus on upper body strength at all. Even though my teacher told me that I need to do it, it wasn't part of the class, it wasn't part of what we did at the academy, so I just never did it. And then when I started to get into strength and conditioning, I mean, my pull-ups were woeful. I could barely do like 3 to 5 pull-ups with really poor, like virtually no scapular depression. And so I went down the band path for years and it just didn't produce great results. And when we looked a little bit deeper into it and understood what the bands do to your central nervous system and how it changes the strength curve versus eccentric reps and using eccentrics, when we started doing that, that's when we started to see the really big changes.
Yeah, absolutely. So Rad alluded there to what we're going to be demonstrating today. There are 3 main contraction types that we focus on in the gym here. Obviously the concentric contraction, which is your ability to pull yourself up on the pull-up. Then there's the eccentric contraction, which is your ability to lower yourself down against gravity on the way down. And then the last one is the isometric contraction. Now we use all 3 of those contractions to basically dramatically improve the strength of the pull-up. We also obviously do supplementary movements where we strengthen the arms as well. But the main thing that we've had good breakthroughs with, and the reason why we can get pretty much anyone to do pull-ups fairly quickly, is through that using those 3 contractions. So should we, before we go out on the gym floor, have you got anything else you want to add to that? Or?
I think just quickly we should talk about eccentrics and the way you use them, because this is a really important thing that a lot of people don't understand when they start doing eccentrics, and that is it's how you're measuring progress and how you're using overload to get better. It's not just about getting on the chin-up bar and doing eccentrics a couple of times every week and hoping to get better. So the first thing that I'll say is, in our experience, to get better at pull-ups, you need to do them twice a week. Less than that is not enough volume, and more than that is not enough rest between the days. So you want to give yourself the 72 hours break. So we do pull-ups on Monday and Thursday. You could also do, well, I'm going to say Monday and Thursday because that's how we do it in our program, but you can play around with it as long as you've got 72 hours break. The next thing, once you understand that, is how do you use eccentrics to overload, so to progressively get better and progressively get stronger. And the first thing that you want to do is work on the amount of time that your eccentric rep lasts for, and you're going to aim for 10 seconds. So when you start, you'll probably barely be doing 3 or 4 seconds. Once you can do that, the next goal is to gradually increase the amount of time between of each rep, and at the same time you can also try to increase reps, but you never go above 5 reps with eccentric loading, and we'll talk about that in a sec. Once you can get to 10 seconds for each rep, the next thing you do is you reduce the amount of time between each rep. So you want to reduce the amount of time to basically nothing. Once you get to the bottom, you immediately go back up and go again. Once you can do, the research shows that once you can do 3 eccentric reps of 10 seconds with no break between them, that should be enough strength to do 1 concentric rep. So that's
3 10-second long eccentric
Yeah,
repetitions.
10 seconds on the way down with no break
No
between
break
each
in
rep.
between.
Yep.
Yep.
And the rep finishes when the arms, when the elbows are fully extended, and then the shoulders elevate. That's the last thing that happens. That's how the rep finishes. That's a proper eccentric rep.
Yep.
So you start at the top with shoulders depressed and even a little bit of retraction, but the depression is the most important thing. Go down for 10 seconds, you get to the bottom with the elbows extended, and then the shoulders will elevate. That's one. And then as soon as you finish that, you immediately go back up and then go again. The reason why you don't do more than 5 reps is because if you can do more than 5 reps of that, you'll be able to do a concentric rep. So there's no need to do it. And also this is another thing to calculate, 3 seconds of eccentric loading equals 1 concentric rep. So let's round it. If you do 1 rep of 10 seconds on the way down, rounded down, that's worth 3 reps. So if you're doing 5 reps of 10-second eccentric, that's worth 15 reps. That's a set of 15 concentric reps. In terms of that means, what does it mean by say when it's worth? That the damage that happens to the muscle tissue, to the fibers, it's the same equivalent, same amount of damage as 15 concentric reps.
Yep.
And you just wouldn't do more than that. You wouldn't do more than 15 reps if you're working for strength before moving to a harder progression or making it harder in some way.
Loading it, yeah.
Loading it up.
Yep.
So that's why you don't, we definitely, and it's not just us, it's all the great strength coaches of the world don't recommend ever doing more than 5 eccentric reps.
Yep.
So that's just what I wanted to say before we go out there, because I think for a lot of you that watch this, that actually might be the gold nugget. Some of you might know these progressions that we're about to do, but what I just said then, if you rewatch that is the real gold nugget of how you progress with eccentrics, and you're tracking that progression. You're making, each week you're looking to add a second to your eccentric load, and then when you get to the 10 seconds, working towards that 5 reps and then reducing the rest time, and if you keep working on that, you're going to get great load. And one last thing I'll say is to break through plateaus. A good way if you're just busting your ass at eccentrics and you're not getting anywhere, do a cycle where you work on isometric holds at the top. So in your hypertrophy, actually it depends on how long you can hold it for. If you can hold it for less than 14 seconds, you're going to be doing it in your strength phase. But if you can hold it for more than 14 seconds, it's going to be a hypertrophy phase. And basically you're just going to get to the top of the bar to press and retract your scapula, get the bar touching your chest, lift your feet off the ground and hold it for as long as you can.
Yep.
And that's a good way.
You can do isometrics in any sticking point of any movement. It's a really, really great way to bust through plateaus.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because what that does is it strengthens the end of the pull-up, the top, which is the hardest part.
Yeah.
So you're strengthening that part there so that then when you work on your concentrics, you can start doing that. I can do that, Rich, if you want, or are you okay with it? Yeah?
So for an absolute beginner, someone who's never ever done pull-ups before, I'm a massive, firm believer that the first thing you start on is forearm and grip strength. If you start going and trying to smash out eccentric pull-up reps, there's a very, very high probability that the weak link is going to be your grip strength. And if you're not doing all the grip strength protocols that we've suggested, we did a show about it, was it yesterday or last week that we did grip strength show? Last week. And we did all the hanging and encouraged all of the hanging stuff. So now you just turn it on. And it's ready to go.
We've got our little gimbal.
Oh, sick, and we're shooting Richard's nuts as well. Yeah. It was like going straight up in Richard's nuts. You should go back to that camera shot.
Let's not.
That's not and say we
all right. Okay, so and then after the grip strength, which we did all those protocols, and you can download our 18-minute stretch routine if you want to know how we do all the mobility stuff. We've also got our FMS programming that we do the strengthening stuff and use all those protocols that we spoke about last week. Otherwise, you can just go back and watch that show. Then we work on elbow flexion extension strength, and that has to be done it should be done to some degree in isolation to condition the elbows a little bit. This is if you're an absolute beginner. And then you're ready to take to the bar and start really going for it on the bar. But if you've got dysfunctions in here, it can often cause major problems up in your shoulders as well. There's a very, very commonality among newbies to strength training that when you've got grip issues, you struggle to let the shoulders work in full function. The scapula won't work properly. You won't be able to depress the shoulders because to make up for your grip dysfunction, you tend to do this and you elevate and protract the shoulders. It's just something that the nervous system does. It's very hard to shut off, and a lot of the time it's grip strength. Should we hit the gym floor?
Yeah, let's do it. Yep. I'm filming you, aren't I? Yeah, all right, here we go. Okay, so Yanni doesn't have a mic on him, so I'm going to have to do the talking while Yanni does the demonstrating. So what we're doing, we're basically just going to show you the 3 progressions that we do for pull-ups, for people to start with pull-ups. And what we like to do for beginners, yeah, do it on the bar there. What we like to do for beginners is to actually have a barbell set up at about their collarbone height. So use this one, Yanni, that's perfect.
But I'm going to need a bar without it.
Oh yeah, okay, all right. So what Yanni's just setting up here, getting ready for it, but basically we just have a barbell like this. So if you look at the height of where it is for Yanni, it's roughly at his collarbone height. And what we're going to do is he's basically going to do jumping pull-ups. So the jumping pull-up is exactly as it sounds. It's where you use your legs to jump up to the bar, and then you lift your legs and you lower down as slow as you can. But Yanni, don't do a good eccentric load here because we're trying to, so as a beginner, that's probably what you're going to be doing. You're going to be, see how he uses his legs to jump up, and then his chest touches the bar and he lowers down. And when he goes down, he tries to do as much of it with his arms as he can. So if you do it, try to not let your feet touch the ground until your arms are completely straight. That would be the goal, what he's doing there. He's basically trying, you can rest now for a sec, Yanni. He's trying to put as much load into his arms as possible, but he doesn't have the strength to pull up and he doesn't have the strength to lower down eccentrically yet either. The next one is eccentric reps. So now from here, this is where he goes up to the bar, he gets his chest to the bar. Look at this, so relax your shoulders. Let's have a, watch this. So that's, his shoulders are relaxed here. Watch what he does. He retracts and depresses. That means his shoulder blades have pulled together and also pulled down, retracting and depressing. And he pulls his chest to the bar, and then from there, he's going to lift his legs and he's going to slowly go down. So this is about 3, 4, 5. So that was about a 6-second eccentric. Just do 1 10-second. I'll count you out. Ready? And go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's probably going too slow. 7, 8, 9, 10. So you can see Yanni actually, that would have probably been a 20-second contraction because Yanni's very strong. But let's do 1 10-second, Yanni. So don't go that slow. Okay, get halfway when I'm at 5. Ready? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And straight into the next one. See that? Straight into it. Yeah? On this next one, don't bother by going so slow, but take no break between the next rep, Yanni. No break at all. So go up, and his feet are in up already. He's got the weight into his arms. Okay, that's good, Yanni. So you can see what he's doing there is the idea is to take as little time as possible between each rep and to go down for 10 seconds. Have you got anything you want to add?
No.
Yeah?
The most important thing I think with
I don't know if they're going to be able to hear you, but...
The most important thing with an eccentric rep is that you are getting scapular retraction. I think that's super important, depression and retraction.
Yeah, absolutely. So what Yanni said then, if you can't hear him because I've got the lapel mark, just show it again, is on the eccentric rep, it is absolutely critical that you get this depression and retraction. So retraction is the shoulder blades pulling in towards the spine, depression is the shoulder blades pulling down. And let's do a bad rep, so just show it poorly. So start with the retraction. Yeah, and now lift your feet up and watch what happens to the shoulders. They just go shit, okay? So, and then just do 1 isometric rep just to show the isometric. So look at this, he retracts and depresses, lifts his legs up, and he's just holding there. And he's gonna hold that for as long as he can. And it's a hard thing. Look at Yanni. Even for Yanni's strength, he's having a tough time there. So that's not like it's easy. But yeah, you wanna come back in and we'll talk so we'll go back in into our awesome studio. There's Richie. That's what you don't get to see every day. That's Richie sitting back. Yeah, the sexy beast sitting behind it all over there. All right, there we go. So, so those are the 3 progressions that we use to get people to pull-ups, and they work really, really well. And the only thing, which this is really, the funny thing is, this is what I want to drive home now. I think a mistake that we made early on in our training and that most people make is that it's just a matter of understanding the progressions of, okay, so I need to do this and then I move to that progression and then that progression, because that's what you see when you look at a program. Oh, I just do those progressions. And the truth is, that's actually the really easy part.
It's a small part
because,
of the
I mean, you can just watch videos like this. I don't even know how many, I mean, there's so many videos out there on the internet, none of them are as good as ours, that show how to do pull-ups and stuff like that.
At all.
But, sorry, the one thing, just let me finish. But the hard part is understanding how to use overload and how to get from one progression to the next. Because that's really hard. Going from a jumping pull-up to an eccentric pull-up for a beginner is actually a really, really hard thing. And going from an eccentric pull-up to a full pull-up is really hard. So you have to re-watch that part that we spoke about with overload at the start. Understand periodization, about how you use periodization. I'll talk about that in a sec after you've said what you want to say.
I was just going to reinforce that point. The point that the secret sauce to this video and to the concept of progressing your pull-ups from beginner stage to being able to smash out sets of 10, 15, 20 reps is understanding overload principles, understanding the three primary contractions: concentric, eccentric, isometric, understanding how to use isometric and eccentric to blast through sticking points and to increase weak spots, understanding how to condition the areas of the body that are most likely to get overuse injuries when you start to get really excited and bang out lots of sets of pull-ups multiple times a week, and understanding how to create overload and use volume to get you from one progression to the next. They're the key elements, you know. I've linked in this video an ultimate isometric strength formula. We're in the process of working on a ultimate eccentric strength formula. I know, how creative are we? But it's using all the principles that Rad sort of spoke about earlier, just putting it into a cheat sheet for you guys. So if you're not already on our mailing list, I'd get on our mailing list, because we will send it out to all of our guys. And you can jump on our mailing list by downloading the isometric strength formula. It's free, guys. It's a guide. It's just a poster that we have set up in our gym here for all of our tribe members, and it makes up a really important part of our strength and conditioning program.
Yeah, and then another thing, and I think this ties actually into a question that we had on one of our YouTube videos yesterday. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was asking how do you use periodization? How do you write a program that has periodization in it? And that is, that's another...
Find out who it was.
Yeah, Yanni's going to go and find out who it was so we can give you a shout out. Just click the notifications bell and it'll be one of the top 10 notifications. So program periodization is a critical part of... Mr. Raj, it was. So thanks for the question, Mr. Raj. And what is the question? It was a very short question.
He said, how does one make a program with periodization?
How does one make a program with periodization? And it's a great question, because the truth is, understanding this is going to mean the difference between success and failure in the gym. It honestly is. So there's a couple of main factors to periodization that we get taught as personal trainers, and then there's a few other ones that I'd throw in. So the main four that they say, periodization is manipulating one or all or any of these four things, and that is the exercise selection, so which exercises are you doing, the amount of rest between the sets, the tempo that you perform the exercises, so that's what we were just talking about there with eccentric, so how fast you go up and how slow you go down, that's the tempo, and the amount of weight that you lift, or the amount of reps that you do, but they're tied in together. So those are the four things that we're taught as trainers for that you manipulate for periodization. And there's a fifth one that we like to use as well, which is overload techniques. And an overload technique, the most common ones that most people know are things like drop sets, where you do as many reps as you can with 10 kilos, and then when you can't do any more, you drop the weight down to 7.5 and do some more reps, and so on and so forth. Or supersets. Supersets are another really common one, where you do like a really common superset in bodybuilding is like a bench press for the chest, and then rest 10 seconds and then do flies for the chest. So you do a compound movement and then a more isolated movement. So those are the five main things that you use to manipulate periodization. And what periodization is where you write a program that has set parameters to it. So it's not just do 3 sets of pull-ups and then do 3 sets of this. It's do 5 sets of a certain amount of reps, which is dictating your weight that you're doing, with this tempo, and then rest for this long. So those are all parameters that you write down and then you stick to in your program, and then you do that for 6 weeks, and then you change the parameters.
That's the micro level. On the macro level, it's using cycles of those small variables to elicit a long-term result or to continue progressing. So I'm referring to microcycles, mesocycles, and macrocycles. And that's essentially periodization.
Yep.
Manipulating the variables of overload within specific cycles of a program to elicit a result, like a targeted result.
Yeah. And the truth is,
not leaving it up to chance.
Yeah, and the truth is, it is not easy to write good periodized programs. It takes a lot of practice.
An art.
It is.
And there's good program designers and there's woeful program designers who just randomize shit and hope that you get a result.
Yeah, and randomize, like when you talk about the cycles, like Yanni said, like micro, meso, and macro, like when we write our program at Unity Gym, we have 2 macro cycles in a year, which means a macro cycle is 4 mesocycles for us, and each mesocycle has 6 microcycles, and the microcycle is the week-long training that I was describing. And so we have a plan for an entire year that says, okay, if we do this, the people that are consistent, they're going to get to this result, rather than just
hoping.
Oh, what are we going to do next month? Oh, let's try and do this. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And you're just changing things for the sake of changing them. And it takes years and years and years of practice. And when I look at, I mean, we've been writing programs for 16 years now professionally. And when I look at the program, we actually looked at a program that we were writing 4 years ago. Just the other day. We pulled out a whiteboard. We used to write our programs on whiteboards, and we all looked at it and laughed, and we're like, oh my God, what were we thinking back then? And that was only 4 years ago. Yeah. So how far we've come in the last 4 years is just phenomenal with our program writing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Absolutely. How are we going for time? Is there anyone on the live chat first that we haven't? Quick shout out to Jonathan Sizovic. I saw you commented on yesterday's video. It's good to see you still engaging with the content. John's old member of the gym. He was here for many years.
Trophy winner.
And a trophy winner, he was. He was absolutely a trophy winner. I hope you're crushing it in the new house, brother.
Yeah. No, look, we've got a little bit of time, but I think we're running out of points to discuss for this, and instead of being boring.
The only other thing I'll do is give a really shameful plug. It sounds like a lot of stuff to take in and to get your head around, and it freaking is, man. If you're not an exercise professional, a strength and conditioning coach, designing your own programming can become seriously boring, and it's one of the reasons why people A, don't get very good results, or B, don't continue exercising for long term, because it's a lot to get your head around. And if you feel like you fall into one of those categories, then sign up for our free FMS trial. At least you'll get the first program block. You'll see how we do things in our beginner strength training program. We call it the Foundation Strength Training Program, or Strength Foundations. I don't know, something like that. It's got the word foundations in it. I'm sick, guys, so I'm a little bit out of it.
Yanni doesn't spend as much time writing the programs as I do anymore now, so I kind of just run it past him and he tells me if he likes it or not.
So it's a really, really great opportunity, and it's a very, very good program. It delivers very good results, and you guys can get the first mesocycle of it, which is 6 weeks long, for free. As a free download, and see what it's all about, and then hopefully connect with us, and we'll try and kill you with love so that you stay with us as either an online client or down here in the gym tribe.
Yeah, it's we've had periods in our life where we've tried to go it alone and come up with our own stuff, and then we've gone and worked with trainers that knew more than us, and you just have the biggest leaps and bounds with breakthroughs when you do that. So if you're not working with a coach and you're trying to work all this out yourself, and you don't have an exceptional amount of knowledge, like, in all honesty, if you're not watching this content and just going, oh my God, this is so beneath me, then I would say you need a coach. You need to work with somebody. And I've never seen an online coaching program for as cheap as ours, that it gives you access to trainers like
cheap's
us.
the wrong word.
Yeah.
As good value.
Yeah. It's only even if you decide to stay on with us after the 1 month free, it's $49 a month. That's insane value to get the programming that we do.
$12 a week to have all your programming done.
$12.50,
to have continued contact with us, to work with us directly, to have a direct line to email, Facebook message, all that sort of thing.
Yeah, and if you don't believe us, have a look at the Google reviews, see what other people say. And you know what? If we're not for you, if you don't like our message, if you don't think it's right, find somebody else that does resonate with you. There's other amazing coaches out there as well, and that have great online programs. But find someone, work with somebody that's better than you. You know, make the commitment and watch the results come. Because if you're trying to piece it all together just from watching YouTube videos like this and come up with your own stuff, I haven't seen people produce great results that way.
Yeah. Anyway, until tomorrow, guys, thanks for joining, and we will get back to answering some questions from the tribe tomorrow. So have a great day, get your training done today, and get some squat day for us. I don't know why we're doing pull-ups, but it's squat day, so we're going to go squat. See ya.
See you guys.
We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.